Did you know that the enchanting landscapes of Albuquerque, New Mexico, hide a darker reality of soaring crime rates and deep-seated poverty? Or that Memphis, Tennessee, despite its soulful blues and rich cultural tapestry, is marred by violent crime, crumbling infrastructure, and a stagnant economy? Today, on Globe Trekking, we're uncovering the top 10 cities in the United States where picturesque postcards clash with unsettling undercurrents. From Albuquerque's struggles with education to the blight of urban decay in St. Louis and Baltimore's chronic violence, each city tells a story that may change the way you view America's urban landscapes. These are the places battling not just with day-to-day challenges, but systemic issues that beg for attention and transformation. So, before we embark on this eye-opening urban journey, remember to hit subscribe to join our globe-trotting community as we explore the other side of America's city life. Number 10, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Dubbed the Land of Enchantment, New Mexico's picturesque beauty is overshadowed in Albuquerque by a starker reality. The city's struggle with some of the country's highest crime rates. Reports of violent crimes, including armed robbery and aggravated assault, have made residents wary, deterring potential new arrivals seeking a safe haven for their families. The situation is exacerbated by economic challenges that hit the city hard, with poverty rates inching higher and unemployment numbers casting long shadows over its sun-drenched deserts. Amid these financial hardships, the dreams of many Albuquerque residents hang in the balance, tethered to the hope for a brighter economic horizon that seems ever just out of reach. And as if these hurdles were not daunting enough, the city's education system lags, with quality of schooling trailing national averages. For Albuquerque's youth, this means an uphill battle from the start, where academic success is often clouded by resource limitations and the pervasive effects of systemic poverty. Number 9, Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis dances to the bluesy beats of Beale Street, but its rhythm is marred by the cacophony of violence that echoes through its neighborhoods. With a crime rate soaring into the stratosphere, residents are more likely to encounter the sharp blast of a firearm than the soulful strum of a guitar. The city's violent crime statistics paint a grim picture. Neighborhoods are mired in fear, compelling families to seek peace and safety behind bolted doors, away from the streets that once buzzed with vibrant life. The infrastructure of the birthplace of rock and roll now crumbles like a stale piece of sheet music from a forgotten era. Public transportation limps along inadequate routes, failing to connect citizens with opportunity and locking neighborhoods in isolation. Fractured sidewalks and pothole-laden roads serve as the unfortunate symbols of Memphis's neglect, creating a cityscape that struggles to support the very people it homes. Once fueled by the energy of booming cotton and shipping industries, Memphis's economy now battles the relentless force of stagnation. As opportunities dwindle, the city's bright minds are lured away by the promise of prosperity elsewhere, leaving behind an urban canvas struggling against the constant drain of talent and enthusiasm. This exodus, this crippling brain drain, leaves in its wake a city desperately gasping for the fresh air of economic revival. Number 8, St. Louis, Missouri. The streets of St. Louis tell a tale that is both sorrowful and startling. With a murder rate that soars to one of the highest per capita in the nation, residents cope with a reality where the sound of sirens is as commonplace as the chirping of birds. It's a city where every corner can narrate a harrowing story of a life lost too soon, and the nightly news often feels like a grim roll call where violence is the headliner. But beyond the statistics lies a deeper scar in the fabric of this community, the profound racial divide and widespread inequality that stain its history and present-day existence. St. Louis grapples with a chasm that segregates its citizens not just by neighborhoods, but also by access to opportunities and justice. This division festers, impacting every aspect of life from education to employment, and perpetuates a cycle that seems almost inescapable for those caught in its grip. As if reflecting the inner turmoil, The city itself is on the retreat, with a declining population and urban decay vividly etching the landscape. Blocks of once lively homes and storefronts now stand vacant, guardians of the past, while the city's infrastructure crumbles under the weight of neglect. It paints a poignant picture of a once booming metropolis now facing the heavy silence of abandonment, its grandeur fading in the rearview mirror as residents seek refuge and resurgence elsewhere. Number 7. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore stands as a somber testament to the devastating impact of chronic violence intertwined with systemic drug trade issues. On its streets, the shadow of addiction looms large, fueling an underworld economy that thrives on despair and disregard for life. The city's daily rhythm is punctuated not by the bustle of urban revitalization but by the staccato of siren calls rushing to the next tragedy. The sorrowful reality behind each crime scene tape weaves a narrative of a community besieged, where safety feels like a distant luxury, and a walk home holds more danger than comfort. Amid the cacophony of challenges, Baltimore's education system falters, struggling to uplift its youth from the mire of disenfranchisement. Classrooms, bereft of adequate resources and marred by neglect, mirror the disheartening landscape of the city's forgotten neighborhoods. A shocking reflection of this neglect is the city's abysmal graduation rates, which signal not only a loss of educational achievement, but also the extinguishing of potential and hope for many of the city's young minds. As students grapple with uncertainty inside and outside school walls, the quest for knowledge is too often supplanted by the quest for survival. Baltimore's hardships are only compounded by a leadership embroiled in corruption, as city officials once entrusted with the welfare of its citizens are found derelict in their duties, aggravating the city's problems rather than alleviating them. This malaise of mismanagement not only hinders Baltimore's path to recovery, but also deepens the chasm of mistrust between the people and those elected to serve them. Each scandal that unfolds further tarnishes the fabric of community and dims the glimmer of any nascent optimism for a city once a shining beacon of the American industrial spirit. Number 6. Detroit, Michigan. An emblem of America's post-industrial decay, Detroit, Michigan stands as a stark reminder of the country's shifting economic fortunes. Once a bustling hub of the automotive industry, Detroit's factories have gone silent, leaving economic turmoil and a ghost town in their wake. The city, an icon of the golden era of American manufacturing, now personifies the challenges faced by industrial cities in the global economy. The sheer scale of Detroit's depopulation is breathtaking, with vast neighborhoods transformed into urban prairies, dotted with abandoned homes. As families and businesses fled in search of greener pastures, they left behind a landscape of desolation. Streets lined with the skeletal remains of houses echo the loss of community vibrance that once painted Motor City's identity. This mass exodus has not only changed the city's physical appearance, but has also deeply scarred Detroit's cultural and social fabric. Compounding the urban blight, Detroit city services are in dire straits, with policing and fire protection stretched perilously thin. Budget cuts and dwindling resources have left the remaining residents underserved and at risk, fostering environments where crime can thrive and safety is compromised. For the Detroiters who have held on, lacking essential services like reliable police and fire departments is a daily struggle, a testament to their resilience amid adversity. Number 5. Flint, Michigan. In Flint, the specter of a water crisis looms large, casting a long shadow over a city already grappling with a myriad of social and economic challenges. This Michigan city became a symbol of systemic neglect when its drinking water became poisoned with lead, unleashing a public health catastrophe with repercussions still felt today. Residents continue to wrestle with the health implications, a haunting reminder that basic amenities we often take for granted can become luxuries in a blink of an eye. But the water crisis is just one portion of Flint's troubled narrative. The city battles relentless poverty, with economic opportunities as sparse as rain in a drought. Job prospects are fleeting, and for many families, making ends meet is a daily struggle, leaving the wider community to ponder the viability of Flint's promise for a secure future. As storefronts remain shuttered and prospects grow dim, the city's heartbeat slows to a worrying pace. Flint's plight is not just about water. It's about the kind of systemic disenfranchisement that casts a pall on a city's ability to rise from adversity. The tarnished reputation has deterred investors and philanthropists, making the road to revival an uphill battle against the winds of skepticism and the stench of past failures. Addressing Flint's issues is more than a question of resource allocation. It's a matter of restoring trust in a city that's been broken in more ways than one. Number 4. Stockton, California. Once a bustling hub in California's Central Valley, Stockton's narrative took a dramatic turn as the city became engulfed by financial turmoil. In 2012, it gained notoriety as the largest city in the U.S. to file for bankruptcy at the time, a dubious accolade that underscored years of fiscal mismanagement. The effects of hasty developments, unmanaged pension costs, and the housing market crash culminated in a perfect storm, stripping the city of vital services and tarnishing its image in the eyes of investors and residents alike. The aftermath of Stockton's financial meltdown cast long shadows over its economic landscape. Despite making strides towards recovery in the post-recession era, the city's unemployment rate stubbornly remains above state and national averages. Jobs are scarce, and those available often lack the security or pay to lift families out of the grips of poverty. This economic stagnation suffocates the city's growth, leaving many citizens in a constant scramble to make ends meet. Some resorting to informal economies, others battling the pangs of joblessness. Amidst the many challenges Stockton faces, the struggle of its school districts stands as a testament to the city's ongoing fight against hardship. Educational attainment hovers below what one would hope for in a state known for technological and academic innovation. Low graduation rates and achievement gaps weigh heavily on the youth of Stockton, limiting their opportunities for higher educational pursuits and, by extension, their potential for economic mobility. With schools crying out for resources, the community's aspirations for a brighter future are met with the stark reality of a system in desperate need of reform and investment. Number 3. Cleveland, Ohio. Once an industrial titan on the Great Lakes, Cleveland now grapples with the stark realities of manufacturing shrinkage and economic downturn. The city, steeped in a rich history of steel and success, faces an identity crisis as iconic factories go silent and job opportunities fade into memory. Severe industrial decline has left locals longing for the prosperity of yesteryears, holding on to hope in a city struggling to redefine itself amidst the rust of idle machinery. The economic hardships in Cleveland have manifested in more than just closed factories and silent shipyards. They've cut a deep divide through the city's social fabric. With a poverty rate that soars beyond national averages, the disparity between the haves and have-nots is strikingly evident. Neighborhoods fraught with economic stagnation bear the scars of this divide, where the wealth of a few contrasts sharply with the struggle for daily survival faced by many. Crumbling roads, aging bridges, and an overwhelmed public transportation system underscore the tale of neglect that haunts Cleveland's infrastructure. Investment is desperately needed to reinvigorate the city's bones, to bring life back to the gray landscape of forgotten boulevards. As one drives the pockmarked streets, the city's deteriorating infrastructure serves as a jarring reminder of the urgent need for revitalization. Without the much-needed injection of capital and confidence, Cleveland's road to recovery remains steep and uncertain. Number 2. San Bernardino, California. In the sun-baked valleys of Southern California lies San Bernardino, a city that screams cautionary tale louder than the howl of its arid Santa Ana winds. Driven to the brink of despair, San Bernardino's journey through bankruptcy has left it with service cuts so deep the city's bones of infrastructure lay exposed and brittle. Neighborhoods, deprived of basic upkeep, now resemble ghostly remnants of the American dream, with streets struggling to cater to the needs of their communities. The stark realities that haunt San Bernardino are reflected in its harrowing poverty rates, among the highest throughout California. Here, a staggering number of families grapple with socioeconomic hurdles that rival the peaks of the San Bernardino Mountains towering in the distance. With a lack of resources and limited opportunities, the cycle of poverty perpetuates, feeding an ever-growing chasm of inequality that swallows hopes and stifles progress. Crime has settled over this landscape like a dense fog, refusing to lift and casting a permanent overcast on the city's morale. Property crimes persist relentlessly, as if in lockstep with the economic malaise that grips the city's heart. From grand theft auto to break-ins, the endless dance of misfortune and misdemeanors plays on, cementing San Bernardino's infamous notoriety as a city in desperate need of reform and rejuvenation. Number 1. New Orleans, Louisiana. In the heart of the South, New Orleans battles against the relentless tide, both literally and metaphorically. Years after the devastating ruin brought about by Hurricane Katrina, the city's bones are still rattling from the impact, with entire neighborhoods haunted by the specter of decay. The ever-present threat of flooding looms over the Big Easy as authorities scramble to reinforce the levees, all too aware that the waters may return to claim what was left untouched. But the inundation of New Orleans isn't only from broken dams, it's also from a criminal justice system cracking under the weight of its own fractures. Integrity and trust have been eroded by years of corruption and mismanagement, leaving residents to navigate an often unsympathetic maze of law enforcement and legal paradoxes. Streets where jazz once danced now echo with the frustrations of a community yearning for reform and fairness. The most bittersweet note in New Orleans' symphony is the ever-clinging shadow of poverty, which stifles its citizens' yearning to rise. Despite the vibrant culture that thrives among these hardships, socioeconomic mobility is but a dream for many. The city's deep roots in rich music and cuisine cannot mask the hunger for opportunity, a hunger that persists as the echelons of the advantaged seem as distant as the quietest stars on a Mardi Gras night. From the chaos of Katrina to the daily struggles wrought by inequality, New Orleans is a city where resilience is not a choice, but a necessity. As we navigate through its complex tapestry of issues, we're reminded that while the spirit of this city may bend, its soul refuses to break. From Albuquerque's notorious crime waves to New Orleans' battle with natural and societal challenges, we've walked through cities grappling with issues too insurmountable to ignore. These metropolises are marred by violence, economic decay, and a plethora of systemic failures that highlight the struggles facing urban America today. As we reflect on the daunting realities of these cities, it's crucial to recognize that within these urban landscapes are stories of individual resilience and communal strength. But the path to transformation is complicated, rooted in policy reform, community engagement, and sustained investment. If you're as intrigued by the complexities of urban development and the factors influencing a city's livability as we are, then subscribe to Globe Trekking for more eye-opening content. Share your thoughts, engage in the conversation, and be a part of the community striving for change. And as one journey ends, another begins. As we leave behind the tales of struggling cities, let the exploration continue. We recommend watching The Rise and Revival of American Cities for a glimpse at urban centers defying the odds and pioneering a brighter future. Tune in, join our globe-trotting family, and together, let's uncover the lessons and successes lurking within America's diverse cityscapes.